77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
All right, 8:46, Tuesday morning, New York City. Been a great show already. Curtis Sliwa, Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard was great. Lizzie Savetsky, still to come next hour. Roger Stone. He's going to tell us why Mike Pompeo is not being invited back. That surprised me. And my friend from Turning Point there, Charlie Kirk's crew out in Arizona, our friend Caitlin Sinclair. So the Dolphins, they won last night. Justin, the Dolphins finally won a football game.
They did, yep.
And Tua made it the whole game?
Tua made it the whole game. A little bit of a relief for Dolphins fans. He tried to make it, or he did make a tackle and led with his head at one point.
He really got to stop doing that. I mean, jeez. What the hell's the matter with him?
No, he threw an interception, started diving at the cornerback, picked them off.
Will they beat the Rams?
Yeah.
They hate that coach there, that McKenzie, whatever his name is. He's a weirdo anyway, but they hate him.
Oh, McVay.
What's his name?
McVay.
No, his name is not McVay. I guarantee you it's not McVay. Guaranteed. The Dolphins head coach?
Oh, not the Dolphins.
No, I think you said the
No, that's Sean McVay's the coach of the Rams, right? I'm talking about the weirdo, the Dolphin coach.
McDaniel. Yeah, he is a weirdo.
McDaniel, weird guy.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah. So the matchup this week is the Chiefs and the Bills. That's the big one.
That's the big one.
9-0 Kansas City against 8-2 Buffalo.
And you got to tune in.
That's your AFC Championship game, unless the Ravens start playing better. I don't know.
And Thursday night's a great matchup too.
What do you got?
I predict it'll be a late call offside.
Yeah.
And Kansas City will get the ball back with minute 40.
They blocked the field goal, Lou. They didn't get a call go their way. That was week 3. They're winning every week.
No. They did get a call their way on a roughing on a play that didn't happen. It didn't exist.
I didn't see that play. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It didn't exist.
Okay.
It was a bad call.
All right.
They're a great team. That's not the mark of them.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
They get the calls.
They
okay.
get breaks.
Who's your Thursday night game?
Eagles and Commanders.
Eagles are playing great.
Yeah.
And so are the Commanders. They should have beaten Pittsburgh on Sunday. That Jaden Daniels, man.
Those are your 1-2 in the NFC East.
All right. Big weekend coming up. Talking about the Dolphins in Florida. I had the chance to meet this guy in Pennsylvania the Saturday before the election. We campaigned together. The Log Cabin Republicans, we were the only 2 straight guys there that night. My favorite homosexual, Bill White, was in charge of that one, and Rick Grinnell. And he's a superstar out of the great state of Florida. He's Byron Donalds. My man Byron. Byron, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, real quick, because you guys are talking football.
Yeah.
And I know you're talking to Chiefs and calls. So you remember, man, this is decades ago now. They were asking Michael Jordan, like, why is it that you keep getting all these favorable calls? And he looked at the reporter, and he just said, so? Hey, the Chiefs, man.
They earned it, right?
Patrick Mahomes is the best player of football. He's the head of the table. And until you deal with him, the rest of this season doesn't even matter.
Couldn't agree more. He does not lose in the playoffs. Remember, last December, Kansas City was finished. They were done. They still won the Super Bowl. They're undefeated this year. So I'm curious. I know that, Byron, of course, you're a huge star in our party. Huge star. Sky's the limit. You're down in Naples. Are you a Dolphin fan?
No, actually, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I'm in purgatory right now. It's not a good season. I'm very upset right now.
You should be.
Listen, Donald Trump won, so that's all the winning I need. I can leave football alone.
No, it's funny. I'm a Giant fan, and we may be the worst team in football at 2-8. And I say the same thing. I couldn't care less. I used to have the Giants. I love the Knicks. The Mets lost in the playoffs, but the Trump win was the big one. But let me take you back to 3 nights before Trump wins. You and I share the stage in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. By the way, my wife Danielle loves you. She's also a tequila drinker. She said better without the sunglasses. And there we were, you and I on stage that night. And I kind of got the feeling, being in Pennsylvania that day, Byron, that big swing state, that things were going Trump's way. And you felt the same way. You told me that night you felt the same way.
Yeah, I felt for a long time that he was going to sweep the battleground states. I was keeping the sweep part quiet because, a little superstitious. You don't want to be going around saying that kind of stuff, especially when, when you're a surrogate, the press will start picking at it and like, oh, these guys are cocky and all that kind of stuff. But when you looked at the race, it was pretty clear that he was dominating the issues. She was dominating word vomit. And, all the momentum was with Donald Trump, and so I think that if you looked at it clearly, being on the ground in so many states, undecided voters were all going to move the same way. That's what happened. He's president with a mandate, with a massive mandate, not just, you won and you got 272 electoral college votes. We're talking about a mandate to get the job done for the American people.
Really huge mandate, 312 electoral votes. We keep the House, take the Senate. Back in July, before the RNC, even before President Trump was nearly killed, thank God he wasn't, a lot of talk about the VP, Byron. And we know he picked J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, who may be named Secretary of State today. He received consideration. So did you. Did you ever have the feeling that you are a legitimate shot at that? Did you have discussions with Trump dating back to July?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think the way I looked at that was, at first it was, wait, what? Am I seriously being considered? Because, I'm a guy that's in the House, and, typically when they start talking about VPs, they were talking about senators or governors or stuff like that. So at first I was like, wait, is this a real thing? Then, people started, telling me like, no, it's actually a real thing. And I was like, oh, shoot, okay. And then, you talk about it, you go through the process. But I think that the way it worked out is actually best for everybody. I think JD did great job, and now he's got a big job ahead of him, helping make sure that we get this agenda across. And we'll see what happens in the future with me.
Well, you mentioned with the Congress. So is there any potential for a spot on this administration? Elise, for example, she just was named the UN ambassador. Any talk with you and the Trump team about doing something now with this administration?
No, because honestly, I don't think we want to imperil the majority. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
Elise going to the UN. Mike Waltz out of Florida is going to be a national security advisor. We'll. I think that right now everybody just needs to take a beat. Let's fill out the rest of his administration. And funny thing about politics, it never stops. There's always something coming around the corner.
So, did we win the House? Is that official yet?
We've won it. The question is how big. And when I say big, meaning that we have a majority, not that it's going to be massive. We could have 220 seats. We could have 223 seats. I think that's about as big as it's going to get. There's a couple of races out in California. And by the way, I don't know what they're doing in California. I think they still use the abacus to count as opposed to like a calculator. I'm not sure what's going on out there, but they got to fix their system. I asked a couple of my California colleagues who are here in D.C. I'm like, what, do they make the rules that way so they can cheat? And they go, yes, the rules are made this way so they can cheat. It's ridiculous out there. But we're waiting for those races to be called, and then we'll know what the final number is.
Okay, cool. And so now when you talk about the mandate again, we've got the seat on Pennsylvania Avenue. We've got the Senate. We've got the House. So we've got all the control. So some of the stuff that Joe Biden did, we can reverse. We could do that with executive orders anyway. But moving forward, it seems like we're in great position to improve this country, Byron Donalds, very quickly.
Yeah, we are, and we're going to. I was with the speaker and a bunch of members last night talking about this. The president's focused on it. My hope is Rick Scott comes out of this process to be the next Senate Majority Leader, and then we're going to hit the ground running. And I think everybody wants to use this time to be aggressive, get the job done, not business as usual in Washington. Because I promise you this, if they do this business as usual mess, I'm going to be pissed, and you're going to be hearing a lot from me.
I like that. Byron Donalds, he's a star, man. He is a star. When he says he's going to be pissed, he ain't kidding around. Listen, Byron, we lived, my family in Boca Raton for 16 years. I came back to New York. I got this dream job at WABC in 2016, but I spent 16 years down there. I still go down there often. My sister lives in Parkland. My mom, she's down in Aventura. I love that state. And you see what's going on down there. Ron DeSantis, maybe the best governor. He is the best governor, him and Abbott,
in
the country.
Yeah.
Right, him and Abbott. Then you've got you down there. You're as good as a congressperson as there is in the country. Rick Scott, you just mentioned, may very well be a majority leader. What a field of superstars, Byron Donalds, down in the Sunshine State.
Well, honestly, it's because in Florida, we just have a no-nonsense approach. We just want things to be efficient, to work. There's not a lot of excuses. And when you go to other states and you see all the excuses that they make, you realize that, the people of Florida aren't going to have it. We're the fastest growing state in the country. We're now bigger than New York as a state, and we're going to keep getting bigger. And, whether it's Rick Scott, whether it's Ron, Marco, whoever the case might be, we're a can-do, get-it-done state. That's just kind of how we are. No nonsense, get the job done, be conservative, things will work out. Yeah,
I was just saying that outside Columbia University, yesterday was Veterans Day, Byron. I mean, come on, Veterans Day. And these animals outside this university in New York, they weren't paying homage to our brave men and women that have kept this country so great for hundreds of years. They were actually marching in respect for the pro-rape, pro-murder, pro-Hamas people. And I said, I lived in Florida. This ain't going to happen in front of Boca Town Center Mall. This isn't going to happen on Las Olas. Ain't going to happen on Miami Beach. And why is that? They got the same rules. It's because of Ron DeSantis, yes?
100%. 100%. We don't do that stuff. We're not going to do it. We don't do it. He's a no-nonsense guy, and that's just the way it is. So even when they were doing all this encampments and all this craziness, that was never going to happen in Florida because the word went out from our governor. So when you have, not just Jewish Americans, but Americans in general pissed off about what's happening on these universities, you can thank the local leadership and you can thank the governors in these states. Like here in D.C., George Washington University, they had this massive encampment, and the president of the university was asking the mayor to let the Metropolitan Police Department arrest these people in the encampment and get them off their campus. The mayor refused. The only time the mayor reversed course to send the police department in to clear the encampment is when we subpoenaed her to be in a hearing on the oversight committee on Capitol Hill.
Interesting.
Once she got subpoenaed, all of a sudden she acted very, very quickly. She didn't want to come sit in front of a hearing.
Right.
And so, we're no nonsense about this stuff. That's why, Florida's the best state in the country. It ain't close. And that's why, Ron DeSantis is the best governor in the country.
So on the way out, this was really exemplified in Miami-Dade. There had not been a Republican president to win Miami-Dade since Bush 41, and Trump just won that. And, of course, that goes back to all you guys, Ron, you, Rick, Marco, all of you. But I was listening to Charlemagne the God. He's a big superstar. I don't know why, but he is. So he was talking this morning. He was surprised that 1/3 of all black people in this country voted for Donald Trump. He was surprised by that. I don't know. I'm not surprised. You're a black man, Byron Donalds. You surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. I think that black people, in a lot of ways, like Hispanic people in the country, they're sick of the old way of looking at politics. They're sick of the Democrat model, which is show up every 4 years, fearmonger, talk about racism, talk about taking away rights and scaring people into the vote. I think they looked at this election saying, look, man, when Donald Trump was president, I was doing better. When Donald Trump was president, the border was secured. He's a better president. And then they looked at Kamala, and I mean, come on, seriously? After 5 minutes, you knew the lady was not serious, and there was not much going on up there. Honestly, she should have had Joe Biden out on the campaign trail a little bit more in Pennsylvania. That might have helped her. But, okay, Sarah. Listen, now that it's all over, I got a lot of things that would have helped Kamala Harris. I just wasn't going to share it during the campaign. But the lady, come on, man. Like, you can't, when people are trying to figure out how are you going to lower prices, and the first thing out of your mouth is, I grew up as a middle-class child, man, stop. You're not serious. And she wasn't serious. People didn't feel it, especially black men. And then when Obama came out and started doing the whole thing, like, how come you're not showing up for her the way you showed up for me? A lot of black dudes, like, I'm 45, 46. A lot of dudes my age were like, who are you? You're not my daddy. Right. You're not putting food on my table. Right. Get out of here. Say what you will about Trump. He doesn't show up and do that. He's like, I'm going to cut your taxes. I'm going to cut these regulations, and then we're going to make America great.
Awesome.
Easy sell.
He does do that, and you're right about Obama. Listen, you're great. I was so happy we had a chance to meet you in Pennsylvania. You've got a huge future ahead of you, and I'm just glad you're on our team. I look forward to many more conversations, my friend. Thank you so much. Byron Donalds, keep kicking ass.
Will do. See you, man.
Take care. There he is out of the great state of Florida. He's in Washington, D.C. this morning, the great Congressman Byron Donalds.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.